Check the description for the following discount codes.
A slightly unusual review from a sim racing perspective today. I'm currently wearing the bHaptics Tactsuit Pro with the additional sleeve add-ons as well, what they call their FPS bundle, primarily designed for first-person shooters using virtual reality headsets. If you've not heard of bHaptics, this is pretty much what they do. They design haptic feedback devices for use in VR. Now, they dropped me an email and said, Carl, there's now a plugin for SimHub that lets you use your bHaptics vest and sleeves with any sort of racing game or simulation software that also works with SimHub. So basically everything. Did you want to have one for review? And my first thought was, this is going to be a bit weird. Like having my chest vibrate and my wrist vibrate and all this sort of thing. But I'm like, yeah, I'm a big fan of haptics, whatever form it comes, whether it's tactile transducers, whether it's a full motion system, whether it's the next level racing, tactile gaming chair inserts. I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, by all means, get one over to me. So this is what I'm wearing here today. This version, they do quite a few different versions. As I mentioned, it comes with the sleeves. This has 32 individual vibration motors. So not tactile transducers, motors like you would find in a Xbox or PlayStation controller or in the next level racing haptic gaming pad, I think it's called. So it's got that very distinct buzz and whir that you get with those little vibration motors. And the same issues that you have with those compared to tactile transducers is latency, the time it takes to spool the motor up, the time it takes to slow it down. And you can't replicate precise frequencies like you can accurately with tactile transducers, for example. So this is how it's made up, 16 in the front, 16 in the back, and then I've got 2 in each of these wrist attachments. As you can see, they're quite chunky. And I'll put up a video in a minute of me showing how to put it on and off and a close-up of all the features attached to this. But that's what I'm reviewing today. And I thought, you know, why not? Let's give it a go. So, in fact, yeah, let me show you me putting it on and the close-up details now, and then we'll come back and have a chat about my experience with it.
Let's have a little close-up of what we've got here and how you put it on, and a proper look with it fitted to me to give you some idea of perhaps how it might fit to you. So first of all, we'll just look at the sleeves, and I'll give you a little close-up of these. You've got an on and off button here, and then a USB-C charging port there. That's really all it is. Obviously the battery's in there as well. You've got a Velcro strap for doing it up and a few different positions there. And then also we've got on the inside here, kind of like these 3, well, they are 3 strips, not kind of like 3 strips. They're almost a little tacky, like almost like there's some sort of stick to them. I guess maybe that's to stop it slipping round when it's on your wrist. But to put it on, it is really super simple. You literally just slide it over your wrist and then pull it up nice and tight, like that. And so that is what it would look like on my wrist and on your wrist also. It is quite a chunky item, to say the very least. Not particularly heavy, but physical dimensions wise, pretty large. So I'll just slap the other one on too, because why not? And you can see the whole thing put on. It may be easier to put these on after putting the suit itself on, but we'll find out. So here is the main suit itself. Again, we've got this chunky piece sticking out the back here. Now I'm curious as to whether this poking out the back is going to impinge on my seating position. I'm yet to actually try it out in a sim racing title, so we'll find out a little bit later. But yeah, battery pack here. We've got USB-C charging port at the bottom. We have 3.5mm audio in jack for running it in audio mode rather than using telemetry from a sim racing title. And then we've got what's called an expansion port there as well. And the on and off button on there. Now, there is also an on and off button on the front here. And this also adjusts the intensity. It's got a nice solid feel to the rotary there, decent clicks. So you literally just press and hold and it turns on and it lights up. So different colours indicate different things, Bluetooth pairing, connected audio in, etc., etc. That's all in the manual, which I'll show you in a minute, and then press and hold to turn off. And you do get a little vibration, a little rumble through this as you do it, just to confirm it's come on and off. So you don't need to use a power button on the back. This isn't removable, by the way. This is attached to the suit. It doesn't come off in any way. But things that do come off, there is a little liner on the inside here that's held on by Velcro, so you can take this off for cleaning. And what you'll also see inside there is where the actual little motors are that do the vibrating. So yeah, this can come off this side, same this side, and at the back also. It's like a little mesh net. There's a little handle here for holding it and walking about should you want to take it for a stroll. You've then got on the shoulders, you've got these snappers, you see two of here and two of here. You can snap that up, which will raise the whole front up. So if you're a shorter person, you might want to have it in that snapped up position. For me, as you'll see in a minute, I have to have it undone. Otherwise it kind of sits up here like a crop top, which is not what I want. And then you've got two straps either side for adjusting how tight it is around the side. Again, you'll see all this a little bit better as I put it on now. Now you want this, because obviously it's vibrating against you, you do want to have it fairly snug. You don't want to have it just hanging off loose. You want those motors to be, pressed again. Or hopefully my microphone isn't going to get smothered. Hopefully you can still hear me. But this is what it looks like fitted to me. The sleeves are on the back, as you can see, sides where the straps are for adjustment, and then of course the front. I'm going to say it's comfortable stood up using it in this position. This is of course really how it's intended for use. This is designed to be haptic feedback for use in virtual reality, really. If we look at the box here, it quite clearly says FPS bundle at the top. FPS, of course, first person shooter, and the idea is you would feel vibrations when you're getting shot in the chest, in the stomach, in the back, and you get recoil and stuff through the wrists for the guns that you're using. So it is interesting, that they've asked me to sort of review this and try this out from a sim racing point of view, because not really what it was designed for, but we can do it, so, why not? And I was more than happy to try it out and sort of see what happens. But yeah, so this is what it looks like fitted. As I say, we can turn it on and off here. Excuse me. And adjust our intensity and what have you, and then turn it off again. A little long press. Yeah, and the vibrations very much remind me of that Next Level Racing haptic seat insert that you can get. It's the same thing. It's vibration motors, like what you get, in a game controller, rather than tactile transducers, which would be my preference when it comes to any sort of haptic feedback, whether it's sim racing or in this use case scenario, to be honest, because every time I hear and feel these little motors spin up, there's that very distinct buzz that you'll know exactly what I mean from Xbox or PlayStation controllers. That very distinct buzz as they're spinning. Now you wouldn't hear it, when you're sim racing, because you'll have either headphones on or your, in-game audio through a set of speakers at a reasonable volume. So it's not really an issue, but it very much reminds you that it is motors rather than tactile transducers. So yeah, this is how it fits. This is how you put it on. And of course, to take it off, you simply undo the zip and pop it off like that. So it's no real hassle to take on and off. There's a reasonable weight to it, but if you're sat down sim racing, you're not really going to feel that. Interestingly, my wrists are already sweaty from having these on, I haven't actually done anything. Yeah, both wrists are sweaty. I haven't actually done anything other than stood here talking to you guys on the camera. Now, quick peek at the instructions, should you wish to have a look. They're pretty comprehensive, actually. I had a quick start guide for that seatbelt tensioner the other week that basically told you almost nothing other than the safety precautions, whereas this little guide literally tells you everything you need to know, and it is double-sided. It carries on around the back as well. And there's a very similar one. So which one is this? This is for the actual, yeah, this is for the vest. Very similar one for the wrists as well. But yeah, that's how it fits. That's what the instructions look like. Back to me in the chair.
There we go. That's how you put it on. That's how you charge it. That's how you turn everything on. And that's how you wear it. And this is, of course, how you would look sat in your sim rig. Now, I did speculate in that previous segment that the battery pack on the back here might press against the seat. For me, it doesn't. It's quite close, but it doesn't. That doesn't, of course, mean it won't for you. If you're a shorter person, a taller person, if your seat is taller or shorter or wider or narrower, or you sit more upright than me and the seat pushes more into you, or maybe you sit more reclined and yeah, you probably pull away from it if you're reclined. But do you know what I'm saying? Just because it doesn't, you know, touch my seat doesn't mean it won't touch yours. So something to bear in mind. And really, I think there's two possibilities for sim racers who might want to try this out. It's either going to be people that have already got one of these because they're also into VR, and it's like, oh, great, now I can use it with SimHub and, you know, get some tactile feedback in my racing sims as well. Or it's going to be people that are looking for some form of haptic feedback because they've got nothing. Now, I don't think, like, the wrist options are just, if you haven't got anything, I wouldn't recommend buying the package with the wrist add-ons because they're just not, they don't add anything from a racing point of view. You know, when you're doing first-person shooters and you've got tactile feedback from the controllers and then into your wrist when you're shooting, that's very different. But for sim use, no, it just gives you sweaty wrists. Let me just turn these off. Yeah, it just gives you sweaty wrists and additional kind of like load on your load on your wrist when you're steering. And I just, for me, I don't like it at all. So these can come straight off. You know, instantly I feel more at home without them on. Obviously, personal preference. Now, from a driving point of view with the main vest, and this isn't something I can demonstrate. Obviously, if I show you a video of me driving, you're not going to feel what I'm feeling, and you won't even see it move because it's not like the active belts where you'll see it move. This doesn't move. So what I'm going to do is in the bHaptics software, you can link the 16 front and 16 rear vibration motors. And I'm just going to go into the test option and put the intensity up to 100%. I mentioned that can be adjusted here. You can also be adjusted in the software. And hopefully you'll hear the motors through my microphone, which is kind of about here on my chest. So I'm going to turn on the first one, which is the upper left one. And straight away I can notice that the little snappers for the buckle are vibrating. Let's add a second, third, fourth. Now the buckle on this side is vibrating as well. I'm sure you're going to be able to hear this. I want to turn them all on, so we'll hear all 32 vibrating and buzzing away. This actually feels very, very strange. But they go from as low as, well, where the vest stops really. So quite low down at the front, quite low down at the back. It's almost quite nice from a massage point of view, if anything. But you should, I'll shut up and I'm sure you can hear them anyway. I'll gradually turn them off. Now obviously, when you're using this, you do not have all 32 vibrating at once. But I thought I'd just let you try and hear to give you some idea of like the strength of the motors. They are quite strong. They're comparable to the Next Level Racing haptic gaming pad, I would say. So pretty not as strong as their newest one, but similar to the older one from what I remember. Obviously, I haven't got one here to do a back-to-back test. So they do work. And in SimHub, you can configure each of these individually. So all 32 on the vest, I'll put a screenshot up of the SimHub layout, and you'll never have seen so many options in your life if you're familiar with SimHub. There's no other devices that give you 32 individual, configurable motors and another 2 in each wrist as well. So you can have it do whatever you want. Now, for me, I wouldn't buy this vest for sim racing haptic feedback. If I wanted something that used vibration motors, I would go for the Next Level Racing haptic gaming pad, the newest version that's a bit stronger and a bit faster, a bit more responsive. Personally, I would always choose tactile transducers over that, but if some of you are familiar with them or you've watched my previous videos, you'll know they're not just plug and play. There is what they call Sim Racing Studio do a shake kit or a U-shake kit, I can't quite remember what it's called. That's very similar to the Next Level Racing haptic gaming pad. So it's a seat insert that you just strap to your seat and you sit on it. That uses tactile transducers, and that is the best from a sort of accurate feedback point of view. And again, if you're not familiar with what you would use haptic feedback for in sim racing or tactile feedback, it's for feeling things like road texture under your wheels, lumps, bumps, impacts, both with the scenery if you're unlucky enough, and if you nudge other cars, things like ABS, wheel slip, when you lose traction, gear change if you want it, engine RPM if you want it. All of that can be simulated using vibration motors, or more accurately, tactile transducers. And that's what you can configure this vest to do. The issue, of course, with just wearing a vest is there's nothing under my thighs. And we all know when you drive a car in real life, the points of contact you have with the car are where you feel the vibrations in real life. So that would be your back, your bum, your thighs, your feet, and your hands through the steering wheel. You do not usually feel it through your chest unless the airbag's gone off and you've had a little bit of a mishap. So, I mean, yeah, you could ignore the front 16 motors and just use the rear ones, but then you're buying something and only using half of it. It's not, it's not really worth it, in my opinion. If you own one of these, because you use it in VR, then by all means give it a go, because you're already used to wearing it. It's fairly comfortable. It wouldn't bother me wearing this, it didn't bother me wearing it when I was trying it out racing. It's not uncomfortable at all. It does add a layer of warmth, and I get quite hot. So even just sitting here with this extra layer on, because you've got to think, it isn't just one layer. There's an inner layer that I showed you earlier that can come out to be washed. Then there's fabric. Then there's the inside of the vest where the motors are actually placed. Then there's an outer layer, and then this sort of hard, almost like stab vest style reinforcement at the front. So you're quite well insulated. You are going to get warm. So, something just to bear in mind if you live in a hotter country, or like me, you just get hot when you're active. But yeah, the motors, like I say, they give the sort of force and feeling of that Next Level Racing haptic gaming pad. So vibration motors, little bit of lag on start up, little bit of lag on shutdown, and there's that buzz that you will have heard, I'm sure, from a microphone earlier. The software, I'll show you briefly as well. Most of the software is aimed at VR games, VR library, and what have you. It's only really the section at the bottom under device where you can then do your feedback tests, which is what I was doing a little while ago in the video. Oh yeah, I've turned the wrist sleeves off, but they would be here as well. In fact, depending when I do the screen grab, you may still see the wrist sleeve showing up on here. But yeah, the software allows you to configure everything you need to configure. I'm obviously not going to walk you through that. This isn't a tutorial, it's a review. And the same with SimHub. I've shown you the screenshot of it there and active and how you can do it. I'm not taking you through a SimHub tutorial. This is just a review of the bHaptics vest and the wrist sleeves. So on that note, oh yeah, so price-wise, the package I have here, the FPS bundle, I can find for as cheap's the wrong word, I can find it for £605 here in the UK, down from its regular price for about £700 at the moment. Your country obviously will vary on price, depending where you are in the world. But yeah, that's for this package. You can buy a vest, just a vest on its own, not this one, a lesser one with less haptic motors in, vibration motors in. So there's quite a few options. You know, there'll be a link to the bHaptics website in the description. I don't have any affiliation or discount or anything like that, unfortunately. So you can just go through and have a look if you think it's your thing. As I say, personally, my recommendation would be to not buy this just for sim racing, because the whole front of the vest is pretty much, it's not that it's pointless, it's just not realistic. When you can get, if you want something that just uses vibration motors, you can get the pad from Next Level Racing for half the price, and you just have it attached to your seat the whole time and can just get in and out. You haven't got to go through the process of putting the vest on. You haven't got to charge it up, you know, and make sure you've got enough charge for your race session. And the wrist sleeves obviously are really, you know, not applicable to sim racing at all. I mean, I mentioned you get vibrations for your steering wheel, you do. So I suppose that does give you something. It's just they're just a bit big and cumbersome, and I don't like the feel of them when I'm racing. Now, the actual suit and wrist sleeves as a package for VR, great. If you want some sort of vibration, you know, when you're being stabbed in the back in Saints and Sinners, you know, a zombie stabs you in the back or bites you, or if it's a first-person shooter, zero caliber, you're being shot and you feel yourself. That's great, and it's really, really cool. But this isn't what this review was about. This was specifically, Carl, can you check it out for sim racing and do us a review, you know, based on your thoughts for that. So that's what I've done. And for sim racing, I wouldn't recommend buying one. If you've got one, by all means, have a play, give it a go. Other options are top of the tree, full motion system that, you know, that actually moves you, and so you can vibrate you as if you were going over things. Tactile transducers, you know, 4 of, one representing each wheel of your car, and then perhaps one under the seat, one of the under the pedals as well, if you wish. And then it would be the U-Shake kit from Sim Racing Studio, which has tactile transducers as a seat insert, and then the very entry level would be the Next Level Racing haptic gaming pad, which has vibration motors just like this, but again, it's a seat insert that you put on your seat. It just stays plugged in the whole time, and you just get in and you drive. So that's my review. That's my thoughts on it from a sim racing point of view. Again, if you want it for first-person shooting in VR, great, awesome bit of kit. For sim racing, I wouldn't recommend it. There's better options out there. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.